Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to Create and Consume. I feel like I haven't started an episode that way in quite a while, but I did just want to say hello and check in because I am actually going to be doing something on the podcast this week that I've never done before, which is take a little summer break. But I did not want to leave you guys hanging without some content this week. So, what I'm actually going to be doing today is airing a replay of an early episode of the podcast, which is all about my favorite summer bucket list ideas, the best things to do and to add to your summer bucket list. This was actually episode 7 of the podcast, published in 2024. So if you're a newer listener, there's a very, very high likelihood that you have not listened to this one yet. And when I was making my schedule for the rest of August, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do like a how to make the most of what's left with summer episode. And then I said, wait, I literally have done that already. I've done the summer bucket list episode. So why not air it again so you guys can all hear it? And so I can take a little break this week. It's like that TikTok audio. It's like, I'm just going to take a little break from slang, take a little break from slang, and then I'll be right back to slang again. And if you've listened for a while, you probably do know that I really only take 1 week off from the podcast every year where I don't publish anything new. And that's just the week between Christmas and New Year's, like whatever Thursday falls in that little black hole of time where I hope that you are all just cozied up on the couch and not leaving your home or doing anything at all. And that is usually the one time that I take off. But I realized that I just need a little bit of a break this week, and I am hoping that you guys don't mind listening to the replay episode because I kind of think the beauty of the podcast is that as many episodes as I can make evergreen, I do. So you can kind of go back and listen at any time. And I feel like this is also a good chance to remind you guys that there are over 100 episodes of the podcast now, which feels crazy to say. So if you're ever feeling short on content, or maybe you listen to another podcast that took a week off and didn't upload, feel free to dig back into the archives. There's a lot of good stuff there. Like I said, many of the episodes are evergreen, even if they're seasonal. You know, we have lots of old summer episodes, lots of old fall episodes. And if you guys are subscribed to the podcast on YouTube, I also wanted to mention I do have playlists based on like category. So if you want to go in and listen to all the fashion episodes, all the travel episodes, I've made sure to go in and group those all together. So if you're in a particular mood or you just want to hear more about one of the many topics that we talk about here, you can kind of go through and listen that way. And, you know, we really do still have like 6 weeks left of summer at the time that I'm recording this episode. So I think it's a great opportunity to make a bucket list and do some fun stuff, especially if you feel like summer just has flown by, that you blinked and now it's mid-August and you're like, wait, I didn't do any of this stuff that I wanted to do, because I know that that can happen. And this episode is going to give you lots of ideas for that. And I will give you a quick little create and consume for this week just to keep things current. At the time I'm recording this, I've just come back from Banff in the Canadian Rockies, and I went with Andrew and his mom again. We did a trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming 2 summers ago now, which is crazy. And I did vlog the trip. So if you're craving like new and up to date content, you can always go watch the Banff vlog, and I will leave that linked in the show notes of this episode. I'm pretty proud of how this one turned out. And this is the first vlog that, or no, I guess the Nantucket one I did too. I was almost going to say it's the first vlog I did fully on my Insta360 Go Ultra camera, but I feel like with all the landscapes in Banff, I was really able to kind of test the 4K quality and make sure that everything looked good. And I'm pretty happy with how the video turned out. So definitely will leave that linked for you if you'd like to go watch. And then for what I'm consuming this week, I finally finished a book. Thank God. I have been so out of my reading routine, which I feel like can weirdly happen sometimes during the summer months. But anyway, the book that I finished is Missing Me by Ayanna Lage. And I know Ayanna through the internet. We have, you know, like a parasocial friendship in the sense that I've never met her in real life, but I have previously been on her podcast and I've just followed her work for a really long time. I think she's very cool. So this was her memoir, and she talks all about her experience with postpartum psychosis, which I really had not heard of until she shared her experience. And she also shares a lot more of her background in, you know, childhood and kind of preteen era and college, all of which led up to her first pregnancy and miscarriage, and then having her first child and going through this experience of postpartum psychosis. I will put lots of trigger warnings on this book. Please check into them before you read it. If you think any topics related to, pregnancy and loss and mental health might be a little bit up there for you, I would definitely like give the trigger warnings a read before you get into it. And I would say this is very much not a beach read. I don't know what compelled me to pick up this book in July exactly, but I've been meaning to read it, and I had a window where I said, I'm going to sit down and read this. And I swear, from start to finish, I was like right there with her. I was very into the story, and I knew how it turned out, but I really appreciated that I kept wanting to turn the pages and hear more about what happened next. And I think that this is a very raw and honest book in more ways than one. And I would highly suggest picking it up, even if you are not a parent. I myself am not a parent, but I was curious to read more about her experience with postpartum psychosis and learn more about what that entailed, and also hear more about the other side and what it's been like, to recover from postpartum psychosis and kind of share that message with others. So I really do think it's an important book. I give Ayana all the props for writing it. And I would love if you also read it. And if you do read that or any of the books I suggest, always feel free to reach out and tell me. We could do like a little mini book club. I love talking to you guys about books and all things. With that said, I'll turn it over to 2024 Austen, but I hope that you guys are having a great week, and I'll be back with you again in full present day mode next week. Let's get into this fun episode of the summer bucket list. And I don't know if you guys have ever actually made a summer bucket list before, but I feel like I tend to make one pretty much every year. Sometimes it's actually just written down in a physical notebook. Sometimes I'll make more of a checklist kind of situation on Canva. I might actually put mine into Notion this year just to be like super official about everything because, as we know, I'm a Notion girly through and through. But I just wanted to put this list together because I think sometimes summer can fly by, and at the end of it, you could look back and be like, whoa, I wish I had done this kind of trip, or I wish I had thought to host this kind of event, or just meet up with this person who I really wanted to see. And I think that I like to look back on things and feel like my schedule was really full and that I got to do a lot and that I don't have any regrets of how I spent my time. And I think that one of the best ways to do that is actually to make a plan when you want to make a plan to do something. And it could be, again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, something as simple as a small little thing to just put a bit more summer into your routine and lean into the seasonality of it all. Or it could be something more extravagant, especially depending on what's going on in your life right now. If you do have time off, if you are celebrating a milestone or feeling like an urge to travel. I know the travel bug is pretty big throughout the summer months. So this list is meant to be fun. If you don't do any of this, you can still have a fantastic summer. I'm just here for the suggestions and to chat about some ideas with you all in case you're looking for some. With that being said, let's kick things off with summer travel because I think that is like this is the time of year that I feel like people really are booking flights, doing things, going places, and there are so many different types of summer travel that you can do. And I think one of the first things that I always like to think about is what is my goal for summer travel? And in that sense, I just mean, are there any friends who I haven't seen in a while? Are there any new places that I really want to go? And then I kind of work backwards from there based on, okay, how realistic is this plan? Do I have the time to take to go see a friend? Do I have the money to go on said trip that I want to go on? And just being realistic with myself and not necessarily overbooking when I am booking these trips, because when you overbook, that is when it starts to become really unfun and it just starts to become stressful, especially since more people are typically traveling during the summer months, at least here within the US, if we're talking about that. And I think that it's important to really pick and choose and remember that quality is going to be so much better than quantity. If you're at the airport every single weekend, but you feel like you are not making the most of your trips and you are totally out of your routine, that's not going to be fun. So when I think of summer travel, first I kind of think about, okay, first of all, is there anywhere I need to go? And being able to say that you need to go somewhere is obviously like really special, but I just mean, is there anywhere that I have already promised someone that I would be or that I said I would attend? So, for example, if you have any weddings. So I do. I'm in my cousin Caitlin's wedding this summer. It's going to be in August. It's going to be in Washington State. I am so excited for that. With that trip, we again already like booked our hotel. I didn't really need to plan that much because since we are going for a wedding, a lot is already kind of decided for us in terms of the accommodations. Like I know what I'm wearing. So I kind of like sometimes when a trip is just predisposed and it's like, this is where you need to stay because this is where the shuttle's going to be. Like, done deal. Thank you. Now I don't have to go look at a million different options. I can just stay where I am told to stay, and I can show up and be the best bridesmaid and cousin I can be for my cousin while she gets married, because she was a bridesmaid for me as well, which is really special. So that is going to be a fun family trip. Obviously, Andrew's coming with me, and so are my parents since it's a family wedding. And we also got to go see my other cousin get married in the spring in Chicago. So getting to have these little fun family weekends has been really special too. I haven't gotten to travel a ton with my parents since by the time, Andrew and I were like more serious. That was kind of around the time that COVID happened. So we obviously had paused travel plans and whatnot in that time, but I'm glad we're all getting back out there now. And it means a lot to be able to travel together with family. So outside of any pre planned trips or family trips or commitments like being in someone's wedding, what else is on the travel agenda? So, one thing that I always like to try to aim for every single year is to visit one new US state and ideally one new country every year. Now, obviously, this is totally money dependent. It also got really interrupted during the pandemic, but I feel like Andrew also loves to travel, and I'm so lucky to have a partner who's as interested in getting out and exploring the world and seeing new cultures as I am, and it means a lot to be able to do that together. So, usually he's down to make something work in some way, shape, or form, and I think trips don't need to be that long. They don't need to be that expensive. You can look into where the deals are. Even if you can go for 2 days, like, would it still mean a lot to you? Would it still make you happy? So those are kind of things that I think about when I am booking trips. But in terms of my goals of visiting one new state and one new country, we do actually have both of those trips booked, which I'm really excited for. Obviously, as discussed, I am going to see the Eras Tour in Amsterdam. Andrew's coming with me. And from there, we are also taking the train to Brussels. So I've been to Amsterdam before with Nora, who's one of my best friends, who's actually getting married next summer. So that will be another fun trip that we're taking. And she and I did Amsterdam in 2017 because I used to have that whole week off. My gosh, I think I've spoken about this before, but that week between Christmas and New Year's, I had that off at my previous job. That was amazing. So we did 2 nights in Amsterdam. We're going to be in Amsterdam this time for 2 nights again, but I really wanted to say, I'm going all the way there. I would also love to try to go to another country that I haven't been to yet. And getting to go to Belgium is just the cherry on top of this already amazing trip. And again, we are actually only going from Wednesday through Sunday. Like, I will be back in New York for dinner Sunday night, which is a little crazy, but also it makes the most sense for us. Andrew only has to take one day off of work that Friday. We are able to get an overnight flight too, so we don't need to pay for a hotel on Wednesday night. Little things like that, just making sure, are you taking advantage of your paid time off? Are you able to do any overnight flights or find ways to save money, especially because the Eras Tour is not me saving money. Let me be clear about that. But just to find ways to make the most out of a trip and find something that you can be really excited for. And then the new state that we're going to be visiting is Wyoming. So I'm actually doing a trip with Andrew, and my mother-in-law is coming too. We are going to do Jackson, Wyoming. So we're going to get to see some of the national parks there, and we're doing a few days there in August. I am so excited for that. I know that I probably don't present as the most nature focused girl, and I'm not, but I also really appreciate types of travel that aren't necessarily what I would typically do. When I go somewhere, I basically like to go to a city, pretend that I live there, get a coffee and work at a local coffee shop, walk around, listen to podcasts. That's one of my favorite ways to explore. But I know there are so many other types of travel out there. So I'm really excited to explore some of these national parks like Grand Teton and Yellowstone that I don't know that I ever would have sought out on my own. So I'm super excited for that. That'll be in August. So again, think about what your summer travel priorities are. Obviously, we can't be everywhere and can't do everything. Okay, let's talk about something more local that I am definitely going to be doing here, either in Hoboken or New York City, and that I'm sure you could do in your area too. So, here in Hoboken, we have something called Movie in the Park, and there are a couple of different weeknights, I believe. I don't think they can do it on a weekend logistics wise, but there are a couple of different weeknights throughout the summer where they're going to be screening movies in the parks here. So there's one park uptown that does them, and then there's another park by the waterfront that does them, which obviously has the New York City skyline. Iconic. That's one of the best reasons to live in Hoboken, if you ask me, is all of the views. And I saw that they are actually screening the Barbie movie in July. So I'm hoping to have Andrew come with me and join me for that as well. The only thing sometimes about movies in the park is I know this can be a little tricky if you have kids, because obviously in the summer months, the sun is setting later. So the movies have to start later. I think most of the ones here are going to start at like 9 p.m. But if you're able to, get together with friends or make like a plan with a group or something, I think that is such a fun way to go and just get to experience like a night out in the city where you don't actually have to do much of anything. You can go in comfy clothes, you can just bring a couple of snacks. It's not like a hugely expensive activity, especially all the ones here that I'm aware of are free. You just have to make sure you get there and get a seat that you want, and you might need to bring either like a picnic blanket or lawn chairs to watch the movie at. Oh, and you know what we don't really actually we do have one in New York, but that I've never really been to before is there is a drive-through too. There's a drive-through in Brooklyn. I feel like it's called Skyline Cinemas or something. I could totally be making that up, but it is in Williamsburg slash Greenpoint area. If you Google it, I'm sure you can find it really easily. But I feel like if you do not live in a city, the drive in movie experience is just such an ideal summer night spent. And think about it, you can stay in the comfort of your own car, you can bring snacks and whatnot. Oh my God. And do they still do the thing where like the radio is you go to the radio station and that is where the volume is coming in from? I've always wondered how that even works in terms of what the electromagnetic waves or whatever, but none of that matters. The point is either a movie in the park if you live in a city. New York does a ton too, by the way. They definitely do one in Bryant Park, and I know that they have other parks throughout the city that do this as well. And then, like I said, if you're in Hoboken, hi, hello, neighbor. We have a bunch here in Hudson County, and obviously, wherever you are, check your local town's websites or anything like that to see if there are movies being played, especially in parks or any of the drive-in situations. God, that already makes me so excited for summer. I also do feel like summer really is not complete until you have a beach day. And I say this as someone who really is not a big beach person. I am from New Jersey and I have a lot of friends who grew up going to the Jersey Shore over the summers. People would either go and rent a house for like 1 or 2 weekends, or they would have a place for the whole summer. Some people even owned houses down there. And everyone I know who went to the shore frequently loved it. And I just feel like I was never really a shore kid growing up. So I didn't really spend a lot of time at the beach. I didn't really crave going there. And today, if you gave me the choice, I will still always pick a pool because it has to do with the sand, you guys. Like I am just not someone who wants to wake up and find sand everywhere, even after showering, even after trying to carefully, smack my sandals to get any of the excess sand out. Like it just follows you and it lingers for so long. It's not my favorite thing. It's not my favorite thing. That's just a personal preference. If you're someone who loves the feeling of the sand between your toes, then do you by all means. But I would rather be by a pool any day. However, I do feel like going to the beach is a summer rite of passage, and you don't even have to plant yourself out and tan at the beach. But if you drive by like a coastal area and there is somewhere where you can see the ocean, even get a cup of coffee, bring a book, just have yourself a little beachy moment. The coastal grandmother era, I still feel like is well and alive. I haven't really heard many people talk about it this summer yet, but especially, I mean, here on the East Coast, We have so many beautiful areas by the waterfront, like all the way down to, North Carolina and Maryland. Obviously, in Florida, there's plenty of places. And then even all the way up the East Coast, especially in New England, too, like all the way up through Cape Cod and Maine and New Hampshire. Portsmouth is such a cute waterfront town that Andrew and I did a 2 night trip to in 2022 as well. That was a little like summer road trip we did. Would highly recommend, especially if you like oysters. There is just something to be said about being near the beach in the summertime. And I've done my beach day. And I guess this is technically cheating because I didn't do my beach day over the summer. It was technically spring, but the first weekend of June, we were down in Cape May, New Jersey for my cousin Caitlin's bachelorette. Like I said, I'm going to her wedding in a few weeks. And so this was just perfect timing. And I've been to Cape May once before, but I was staying with a friend's family. So I don't think I did the true amount of exploring that I did this time around. And we just had such a fabulous time. So many cute shops, restaurants. When we did go to the beach, we literally went just for a few hours. We sat in the sun, but it was still breezy. So I actually had like a long sleeve on over my bathing suit, which is such an ideal way to be. And it was just really delightful. I feel like if you have a good group of friends and you go for kind of a designated amount of time, especially before it gets so swelteringly hot, that's a win-win for me. So I'm counting that I had my beach day already, even though I didn't really document it. I was just, living in the moment, didn't jump up and take all the Instagram pictures or anything like that. But I was there. I had a really nice beach day. And I think that that is kind of a signal of summer. Let's keep moving on. I put read some new books on here. I have a general Goodreads goal for the year of 20 books. So I think I've read 9 so far. I think reading probably like 2 to 3 over the summer would be the most realistic, just with traveling and the time that I actually would spend reading a book versus consuming other forms of content like podcasts if I'm on a walk, or even just relaxing and listening to music too. So, summer, I feel like you always think you're going to read so much. And I feel like you actually have less time to read because you're not as much in your routine. So, it would be great to read like 2 to 3 books this summer. My book club is going to be reading This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I actually suggested that one. So, thanks, book club, for voting for the book that I was going to read anyway, but now also gets to count for book club, which is nice. And it would also be nice to explore another new genre that I don't really read that often, because last month for book club, we read First Lie Wins, which I thought was so well done. And I haven't really been into the mystery thriller genre in a little while. So I thought it was really like a nice break from what I normally like to read, which is like the rom com, like just any romance I think is so fun. And that is kind of on my agenda. So I want to make sure I am going through my TBR, my to be read list. I have plenty of books even back on the bookshelf there that like my mom has lent me or friends have lent me that I really want to get through. So I think that especially borrowing books from friends or borrowing books from the library. Shout out to the Hoboken Library, because that's how I was able to read last month's book club pick anyway. There is just no shortage of ways to get some fun summer reads into your home this year, and you don't even need to buy all of the books, which is great. I would definitely ask a friend if you could swap a few titles or, borrow a couple of books from one another, just because then you're definitely going to be reading something that you probably wouldn't have picked out yourself. My next suggestion for this summer bucket list is actually maybe counterintuitive to the idea of a summer bucket list, but I do think it's really important to find ways to maintain some semblance of routine throughout the summer months, because otherwise everything just turns into full chaos and it's really hard to reel it in. So I think that figuring out what the key things in your routine are that you like to do just to stay sane, to stay on track, to make sure you're still working towards your goals while you're still having fun throughout the summer months. And the reason I bring this up is because when you have this set and organized, it makes you be able to enjoy all of the fun things you're doing so much more when you're not constantly worried that you're behind on work. I actually currently already feel a little behind on work, and we haven't even really scratched the surface of what's ahead for it this summer. So I do think that asking yourself, what about my routine, like even if I have maybe a different work schedule, or I do find myself traveling, or I'm just able to say yes to additional social plans like friends' weddings or after work drinks or things like that, where you want to be able to get out and see people. That's obviously so good for us. And it is really energizing to be around other people, but also remembering what are the key things that you want to make sure you still pay attention to and still slot in time for so that you can be the most fun version of yourself when you are out having fun. So I know this sounds a little counterintuitive to the idea of like a bucket list, but I do want to mention it because I personally find that it is one of the key things that not only helps me feel good about staying on progress, especially being self employed with work and stuff, but also getting to be able to fully relax and live in the moment. So, a couple of things like that for me include things like my weekly workout routine. So, I currently do my Peloton bike 3 mornings a week, and I usually try to do a strength training class from Peloton once a month. And then I really like to go on long walks and listen to podcasts on the days that I'm not doing those workouts. So the more that I can keep some semblance of that is really key. I also think this is the time when I really like to remember the idea of the big three, which is what are the three things that if I get these things done today will make me feel like I had a productive day and will make me feel accomplished. So, again, this is really important for me being self employed, especially because I do have more flexibility to take time off. And I like that I'm able to take advantage of that. But that doesn't mean that I don't have goals that I want to reach and that I don't have things that I need to be doing. So having the big three really helps me prioritize so that if it's a beautiful afternoon and I want to go for a long walk, or I know that I will be able to take time off on Friday if I am getting through some of my key tasks earlier in the week, that's just really helpful for me. And also, sort of similar on the work note, I think that making the time to work and also making work enjoyable is really key. So, one thing that I love to do, especially since I live in Hoboken, which is such an amazing walkable neighborhood with so many local businesses and so much going on, is that I really do like to try to get out of the apartment once a week and work from a coffee shop. I think there's something to be said for the change in scenery when you're working. And there's also something to be said for seeing how much work you can get done before your laptop battery fully drains. I think that being in a coffee shop gives me an opportunity to focus on like one or two key tasks that I really want to get done, maybe like editing a podcast episode or writing a blog post or something like that, especially for long form content creation. I really do love creating that in part from a coffee shop when I can. Obviously, there's a lot that I need to be in the apartment for when I am recording the podcast or filming a YouTube video. I think that having that kind of just change of scenery always makes me happy, not to mention when I'm in a coffee shop, of course, I'm patronizing the establishment. So if I'm going to the Hive, I'm getting my iced chai latte. There's a great coffee shop that just opened here called Gotan. They also have them in New York City with tons of seating and really good coffee too. I also love Black Rail. I love Mojo. I could do a whole podcast episode about Hoboken coffee shops and restaurants, I'm sure. Although I do have a blog post for it, so I will link that for you guys. My favorite restaurants and coffee shops in Hoboken. But even having those couple hours with a change of scenery, especially when sometimes I'm even able to sit outside, is so awesome. And I usually try to do that on days when Andrew is working from the apartment, just so that he has a little bit of his own space as well. And then I can get out and just get some fresh air, do my thing, and come back. So, yeah, I really do like the idea of working from a coffee shop. And like I said, maintaining that routine, even down to workouts, what your goals are, it can help you enjoy summer a lot more. And I also think something I really would like to do this summer that I say I'm going to do every year and I never actually do is give myself a couple of summer Fridays. And I feel like the reason I don't usually end up giving myself this time is because there are weekend trips and things where it's like, okay, I'm gone for the whole entirety of the day sometimes on a Friday. But I would like to take one summer Friday a month where I actually shut my laptop and go out and do something to enjoy myself. One of the things that I was thinking of that I would also definitely add to this bucket list if I were you is, for example, going to a new museum. Just getting out, kind of putting your phone down and going to see something different or do an activity that you maybe love to do but don't always find the time to do. So for me, that's going to museums. There is a great museum in Queens that I've been wanting to go to called the Museum of the Moving Image, which is all about like film and TV. It's in Astoria. I've heard great things about it and I've never been. And it's so silly because it's like, it's right here. I could go basically at any time. So I feel like if I did have a summer Friday, making the intention to say, like, okay, I'm going to log off at this time, I'm going to take this train in, and I'm going to see the exhibition at this time, that helps make the summer Friday plan come to life a lot more. And obviously, I am grateful to even be in a position where I can do something like this being self employed, but it's because I almost never do. And because usually after, on any normal weeknight, I might make dinner and relax for a little bit, like watch an episode of TV with Andrew. And then I might sometimes just go back to work. And I find it really hard to take time off, obviously, because I love my job, but also because my work is so accessible to me at all times. Like my laptop is always within reach, my phone is always with me. So making that intentional time to say, let's sign off at 2 p.m. today, not even anything that crazy, and go do something that is stimulating and that makes me a more interesting person because I'm taking the time to go to a museum or go to an exhibition or go see this movie or go do this thing. Like just that helps me be more well rounded and that makes me do things that isn't just about creating content 24/7. So I would like to try to do this. Again, I do have a lot of travel coming up and I feel guilty. Like I already have the time that I'm going to be away and doing things, but I don't know. I just watched like so many people who I know who actually like love working their corporate jobs, who do have summer Fridays, who really seem to appreciate it and come back even more focused and ready to get things done on like Monday morning after they have that time off and they're getting pretty much everything done still. They're just doing it in less time because they know that then they can really enjoy their time off. This is just something I struggle with all the time, but like if I ever did have employees, if I were ever running a bigger company, I would want to set a good example and also offer things like summer Fridays or paid time off and things like that. So I feel like it kind of is important in that sense. That's just something I've been thinking about. If you guys do have summer Fridays, let me know how you like them and if you really feel like you get more work done and what you do when you do have a summer Friday. I would love to hear from you. On a similar note to working from a coffee shop once a week, I think trying new restaurants in your neighborhood is something that is so fun to do and you can do just in the comfort of wherever you live locally. I actually have this account here that I follow called the Hoboken Girl, and she is always posting, not it's not just one girl, but like I think of her as one girl. The Hoboken Girl team is always posting new restaurant openings or community events or things going on, and a lot of them are free. So if you guys have anything like that locally that you can follow, maybe even any local content creators or influencers or local blogs, there are people who are putting in the work to get word out about community events, new business openings, and things like that. So definitely search for them and see what you can find. If you go to at the Hoboken Girl on Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, they have updates on truly everything. Trying a new restaurant in your neighborhood is something that just feels like you're doing something more major than you are, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you get dressed up and you make a whole night of it. So, I would like to make it a goal to try one new restaurant each month. Actually, Andrew and I did try two restaurants. They're not new, but they're new to us that we haven't been to yet this past weekend in Hoboken, and both of them were so good. The first was a pizza slash Italian spot called Apulia, and that was delicious. They do wood fired, like personalized pizzas, and we also got the Hoboken Cityside IPA to pair with it. Absolutely delicious. And the second spot that we tried was Saku Hoboken, which is a Japanese restaurant. I walk by Saku all the time because it's right across the street from the Hive, which is one of my favorite coffee shops. And I have been eyeing it for so long. So Andrew actually did get me a gift certificate for Christmas and we just pulled it out and used it. So I can already count Apulia and Saku as our June restaurants that we've tried. I also have on my list Flower, which is an American restaurant here in Hoboken that looks amazing. There's a new restaurant that just opened called Bird that I saw about on the Hoboken Girl. Bird is spelled with a Y. It looks like they do American food too. And there's also Seven Valleys. My friend Taylor was telling me about this place. They actually serve Persian food. So, hummus, kebabs, they have a Mediterranean salad. I think that also getting cuisines that are outside of your normal rotation, which for me is usually like Italian, American, and Mexican, those are probably my top three. But getting to experience another culture, even just by going to a local restaurant, that saves you money from the plane ticket, but you still get a little taste and get to experience what other cultures are like too, I think is great. So if you're craving a little summer travel, but you're craving it on a budget, maybe make a cute date night or a little friends dinner at a restaurant that has that cuisine just to get a little taste and feel like that craving is satisfied. Okay, the next few coming up are actually mostly fashion and beauty related. And I didn't mean to group these all together, but I'm glad that they're here, grouped together unintentionally. So the first thing is to either get or give yourself a cute summer manicure. So I only really started getting my nails done again last year, basically leading up to a bunch of different wedding events. I actually did do press ons for my bridal shower last year. Impress by Kiss makes my favorite ones. And I usually will do like the medium length for that just because my nails aren't super long to begin with. So I think that it does look nice when there's a little bit more length. And obviously, the press ons are a great way to do that if you are having trouble growing your natural nails, because I know I am. I've been there, done that before. But I think there are so many fun summer motifs that you can incorporate into nail designs. You could do little fruit, you could do ombre, you could do neon colors, even if you prefer just a single color. Think about making it a really fun summery one. So you can kind of take your pick whether you prefer a single color or whether you do like a design. And you can even buy at home gel kits from Amazon now. You could get little paintbrushes to do details. There are even nail art stickers. There are lots of different ways to make your vision become a reality without having to go spend like $100+ at a nail salon. So that is just a little fun way to add that dose of summer to your daily routine, or to pick a color that you wouldn't normally pick. It's such a specific thing, but it really does sometimes change or dictate your mood or what you're thinking about doing, and it just makes me happy too, just to see a little bit of fun, a little something fresh there too. I also feel like summer is a great time to experiment with new hair and makeup looks. So, some things that I've been thinking about this summer on the beauty front are number one, to experiment more with colorful eyeliner and eyeshadow. I feel like I have been doing the same exact makeup routine for months and months. I feel like I just have not deviated. I feel like I know the system, I know the formula, but I really want to play with a bit more color and have a bit more fun with my makeup. I think there's no harm, no foul, like it's so easy and low risk to do. And the reward is that people might compliment you and be like, oh my God, I love this teal eyeliner, or oh, I love this hot pink, bubblegum pink blush. Whatever the case is, I feel like adding in fun colors like this to your summer makeup rotation is really key. And I think that it just means that you can have a ton of fun. And if you want to experiment with something that you're not sure will stand the test of time, this is where the drugstore is a great place to go. You can get super affordable stuff from there. Two of my favorite drugstore brands are Wet and Wild, and also I just love CoverGirl lately. Like everything that both of those brands have done over the years, I have really loved. So if you're in the market for some new stuff, I would definitely suggest those two brands. I also really want to do a hair scarf hairstyle, and I know how to do one where I almost have it either tied around a bun or a ponytail, or like a little half up, half down ponytail situation, but I want the hair scarf to like almost be a headband. And I might have to cheat and go on Amazon at some point and buy a headscarf style headband. Also, I probably do have one or two at home in my bedroom, like at my parents' house. So that could be a possibility too. I just, for some reason, like, I haven't even started my annual Gossip Girl rewatch yet. And I'm just thinking of Serena, like seasons one and two, with some kind of silk scarf headband situation. And I feel like that is what I want to be emulating this summer. That's on my radar. And so are heatless hairstyles. I need to know. I think I might have asked this already, but I'm going to ask again. If anyone has a good system right now for heatless hairstyle, I've obviously seen the sleepy ties. I've seen kind of like the bendable rods that you can curl the hair around and clip in or tie in with a hair tie. I still even have my like wrap, snap, and go from back in the day. I tried that again recently, but I think I need to like section out the hair better when I do it. But I want to know what everyone's current favorite heatless overnight curls method is. And I also want to hear if you have any good heatless hairstyles. Right now, my go to heatless hairstyle is just a slick back. So for that, all I really need to do is wet my brush. It's kind of half plastic bristles and half boar bristles. I got it from Amazon, and sleeking my hair back and then going over it with the wax stick to kind of tie in any loose ends. That is obviously a go to heatless hairstyle, but if there are other easy ones that I'm not thinking of, that's what I want to do more research on. And I will look that up on Pinterest too, because I just feel like summer is not the time for like the perfectly coiffed updo. You know what I mean? Summer is the time for the messy buns and for the braids and for the beachy waves and just to let your natural hair breathe and let your natural hair shine, because people have gorgeous natural hair and sometimes they just want to style it, which I totally understand, but sometimes it even looks nice on its own. And my hair is pin straight when it air dries, which I think is pretty boring, but when I do wear my hair straight, people compliment me on it, which is nice too. So finding a good mix and a balance of those two things, I think. Okay, next on my list was to stock up on summer wardrobe staples. And I just feel like summer is not the time where you want to be struggling with what to wear. So I wrote down actually not even really any fashion proper staples, but more just like the day to day things that you would actually be wearing for summer. I also should do another podcast episode sometime about my personal style journey and how I'm feeling about it right now. I feel like I'm a little bit stuck, to be totally honest, on the fashion front. But in the meantime, for some of these basics that I wrote down, just basic bike shorts and tank tops from Target. I'm wearing both literally right now. I'm just wearing a cute plain pink tank top from Target and the bike shorts that I got a week or two ago. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. The all in motion bike shorts, the 4-inch ones, are awesome. At first, I looked at them and I was like, these look so short, but they're actually the right length, because before I was buying like the 7-inch bike shorts, and those are good if you're actually like on the Peloton or riding a city bike through Central Park. But these are better for like this morning. I went out and did my Trader Joe's grocery shop. Listen to episode 3 if you want to get a sense of what I got. I basically pretty much took that episode and like went shopping with it. So that's what's for dinner this week, if you were wondering. And yeah, I love the 4-inch ones. This fabric is super soft and comfortable. This is great for just if I want to pop out for a walk, if I am working from home and don't really feel like putting on a full on outfit. It's just so nice to have a couple of good pairs of these in the rotation. I've also been thinking about like the sports bras of the world, like just getting some new basics in if it's been a while since I've done that, which it has been, personally speaking. Also, I really want a nice exercise dress. That's like, to me, I just want something that's seamless, if that makes sense. So I know Outdoor Voices has a good one. I think Lululemon has one too. Caitlin Patton, if you're listening, I know you've recommended one to me before. I feel like it's the Outdoor Voices one, but let me know if it's not. And that is something that I would like to purchase, because I feel like it's something I could wear to picnic in the park, or that I could wear while running errands or getting bagels in the morning, just all of my kind of local tasks. And not to mention, I do have a pickleball set. That should be a summer bucket list item too for me, is I would really like to play a game of pickleball, although I still feel like I need to remind myself of the rules and just do a refresher, because I haven't played since September when I did that fun pickleball partnership in Central Park. But yeah, so anyway, just kind of thinking out loud of things like that. A pickup game of pickleball, say that 10 times fast, could be a really fun summer activity. I think for most of the neighborhood courts here, you just have to reserve a time. You don't even have to pay to do it. So if you have a pickleball set, which if you don't, I'm sure you can get one pretty cheap from Target or Amazon, that could be a really fun activity, and also like a nice active activity and something that's not just, going to a restaurant or getting drinks. So that could be a fun one too. I also think having a great pair of lightweight sneakers, again, just to throw on, that travel well and that work perfectly just for errands or walks or podcasts. My current favorite are the Adidas Cloud Foam sneakers. I have them linked in my Amazon storefront, and I can also link them in the show notes. I think they were only like $50 or something, and they are so lightweight. they're the perfect shoes to travel with because they just do not weigh anything. So they really won't like weigh your suitcase down. I feel like shoes can tend to do that if you are traveling. And they're always the pair that I want to slip on if I'm getting groceries or going on a walk or doing pretty much anything. So, just thinking again about what your summer wardrobe staples are, and if you have a go to dress or silhouette that you like that you always find yourself wearing to events and things like that, maybe see if you can get it in a second color. I think there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's something you actually like and feel confident in. That's usually the most important thing. Another thing that I just love doing is to infuse summer fun or whatever season it is into things that seem mundane just to make your day a little bit more enjoyable. So that could be anything from the scent of your body wash in the shower. I just bought a new lavender one. To me, that's giving like the North Fork of Long Island in a lavender field, just frolicking through the sun beating down. It's obviously not that dramatic. It's just a body wash, but even picking lavender over like, I don't know, something like pumpkin or eucalyptus, like those are not the summer scents I want. You know, lavender is, mango is, like give me these summer scents. Even thinking about drink flavors, if you usually get sparkling water, can you get the watermelon sparkling water? Can you get the pineapple sparkling water versus, I don't know, whatever flavor you normally get? Same thing with candles. I feel like candles are in general more of a fall winter thing, but even having candles that smell like salt water or citrus or any of the things that really put you in the summer mood, even just having that aroma around you can make you feel like you're in Positano or on a tropical vacation when you're just sitting and getting some work done. I also feel like no summer is complete without your favorite sweet treat. So, one place I definitely want to go this summer is a local gelato shop here called Il Laboratorio de Gelato, I believe. Last year, I tried the cream cheese gelato there. I don't know what made me taste it. I guess because you can sample everything. And I was like, can I try that? It was so delicious. So, I definitely want to go back to that shop. Maybe I'll try a different flavor this time, but whether your favorite sweet treat is like a frozen ice that you grew up with, or custard, or ice cream just from the truck that sings the song all day. You know what I'm talking about, like the ice cream truck song. I think that when you have that just at any point throughout the summer, it makes it feel like it is summer, especially if you have any nostalgic favorites from when you were a kid growing up. For me, that would obviously be the Dairy Queen. And yeah, I think that always just puts you in a good mood. And it's another nice way to, you know, end off an evening or something to do without again getting drinks. I feel like obviously there are many opportunities to drink throughout the summer months, but it's always also nice to skip that and know that there are other fun things you could be doing in the meantime and other treats that you can get yourself. In an ideal world, I don't know how this would work scheduling wise and how it would work with getting all of my friends to Hoboken, but I would love to host like a summer game night. I mean, the vibes would just be right. That might be too complicated. I might be like biting off more than I can chew. But if you have a summer that feels a bit more open, if you feel like people are around, a game night could be so fun. A dinner party could be so fun. Even a movie night with a projector in the backyard. That's not something us city dwellers can do. But if you have the setup for it, I'm sure friends would love to come over for something like that. I feel like just hosting is really fun throughout the summer months too. We're not going to get to do a ton of it, but we do have my sister in law and brother in law coming to stay with us just for one night, which I'm excited about. So, even thinking of little ways to make that experience fun and to show off your hosting skills. And last but not least, I think that one of the biggest things that should be on everyone's summer bucket list, and this is totally free too, is taking a social media break. So, as discussed in last week's episode, I am feeling pretty burned out from social media, especially short form content. So I am looking to take a break from Instagram and TikTok. It looks like it's going to be in July. I think it'll probably be right after the Eras tour because I will, of course, be wanting to share that content. So it might be for that kind of 2 week window right in there just to get offline and see how it goes. And I mean, truly, just like, I don't want the app on my home screen. I don't want there to be reels that I feel like I should post. I really just would like to sign off and exist without it for a week because this sounds insane, but I've never done that before. So I think that having a break, living in the moment, and doing things for yourself is really important. And that's on summer 2024 and having the best summer of our lives.